Let me start with the truth that most people miss. The richest person in the room isn't usually the loudest one talking about money. They're the ones that no one suspects. They're not flashing cars, they're not posting about luxury trips, and they're not craving attention. They're calm, observant, intentional, and quietly winning. So if you've ever felt like the quiet one, the listener rather than the talker, the observer rather than the performer, then I have good news. Quiet people often end up richer and happier, not by accident, but by design. So today we're breaking down the 7 reasons why quieter people end up richer and happier. And stick with me till the end because reason number 7 is the one that flips the script on everything that we've been taught. Number 1, quiet people don't waste energy performing. Loud people spend their energy proving success, whereas quiet people spend their energy building success. Psychologists call this self-presentation theory, where we waste our mental energy and effort trying to manage how others see us. Research shows that this constant image management leads to financial stress, to impulsive spending, and to anxiety and burnout. You see, when you're busy performing for approval, you're not focused on actual progress. Quieter people, they don't need the applause because they listen, they reflect, and they move in silence. They don't need to look successful. They would rather be successful. In my 30s, I knew someone who changed cars every single year just to look the part. People didn't realize that most of the time he didn't even own the cars. He wasn't buying them, he was just leasing them. He also bought new watches and new houses every year, each one bigger than the last. He was loud. Then in my 40s, I started meeting people who were quiet. They owned businesses, real estate, and investments. They looked average. They lived average lives, they drove average cars, and they lived in modest homes. They didn't care about impressing anyone. However, I soon realized that their net worth was loud, but their life was calm and quiet. That's when it clicked that wealth isn't about attention. True wealth is about options and intention. Reason number 2, quiet people listen more than they talk, and that makes them smarter. Here's something powerful. Money rewards good decisions, and good decisions comes from information, not from noise. So quieter people, they ask questions, they observe patterns, and they let people reveal themselves. Psychology research shows that quieter people often engage in deep processing, where they think before acting. Now compare that to the Dunning-Kruger effect, which shows that people who know less tend to be louder. People who know more tend to be quieter because they understand the complexities. The loudest person in the meeting usually wants attention, whereas the quiet person usually wants understanding. Reason number 3, quiet people spend less on image and more on assets. There's a real psychological trap called conspicuous consumption, buying things to signal status. Quiet people, they don't need the signal. They ask themselves, does this actually improve my life? Or am I just trying to prove something to someone else? As we hit 40s, this becomes crystal clear. Freedom feels better than attention. Quiet people shift spending from impressing strangers to buying back time, building assets, securing retirement, often retiring early, and creating margin and peace. They don't dress for approval. Instead, they build for independence. Reason number 4, quiet people avoid drama because drama is expensive. This one's rarely talked about, but loud lives often attract conflict, gossip, jealousy, and broken relationships. And let's face it, drama is emotionally and financially draining. Research on social comparison shows that constant comparison lowers happiness, life satisfaction, and financial self-control. Quiet people step away from that. They don't broadcast every win. They don't invite judgment into their lives. Instead, they choose small circles, real friendships, and calm environments. And wealth loves calm minds. Reason number 5, quiet people are underestimated, and this is an advantage. Being underestimated and being the underdog is one of the greatest strategic gifts. As a result, no one is trying to beat them. No one is watching their every move. They get to build in peace. In psychology, this is tied to status inconspicuity. When people don't perceive your status, they don't compete with you. Quiet people, they don't trigger ego battles. They just work consistently while others perform. Reason number 6, quiet people have stronger relationships. Harvard's 85-year-old study on happiness found that the number 1 predictor of fulfillment isn't wealth, It's quality relationships. Quiet people tend to listen deeply, they connect authentically, they ask deeper questions, and they value depth over crowd size. When people don't know your wealth, they value you and not your wallet. There's no performance, no expectations, no transactional friendships. That creates emotional safety, and emotional safety is priceless. And reason number 7, the one that most people miss. Quiet people define wealth differently. Loud culture says that wealth is cars, it's status, it's trophies, it's attention. However, quiet people define wealth as time, health, peace, control over their schedule, and not needing permission. And in your 40s and beyond, this really hits home. Because we don't want applause anymore. We want mornings without anxiety. We want time with people we love. And we want work that truly matters. Quiet people, they stop chasing status and they start building freedom. And that's why they end up richer, calmer, happier, and more fulfilled. Not because they're lucky, but because they stopped performing and started living. So if you've ever felt overlooked because you were quiet, then just realize that you were playing a different game. Loud people chase attention, but quiet people, they build lives. You don't need to announce your goals. You don't need to perform. You don't need to prove your worth. Your silence isn't weakness. Silence is strategy. And if this resonated with you, especially if you're in your 40s or beyond, rebuilding your life, your finances, and your confidence, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a comment below and please subscribe. It really helps to keep me going. See you in the next one.